2024 softball season is just 3 weeks away. That's right. It's already back as the Oklahoma Sooners are looking to go not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 years in a row, hoisting the national title at the end of the Women's College World Series. Welcome to the AllSooners Softball Show. I'm Ryan Chapman, and AllSooners.com is going to be your home for Oklahoma softball all season long. Wall-to-wall coverage, as you know. If you've been around before, you know what we do here. And if not, welcome aboard. We hope you enjoy our coverage all season long. Today, though, a little bit of a season preview. I've got 3 massive questions Oklahoma will have to answer this year. Coming up here, stick with us on the AllSooners Softball Show. Like I said, hope you enjoy coming along with us this season. We're going to try something new a little bit. We've got a ton of print content. As always, allsooners.com. Head over there, as well as all the videos, Coach Gasso, all the players, midweek interviews, postgame interviews, all that good stuff will all be at allsooners.com. But we are going to try and have this, the AllSooners Softball Show, twice a week. The stated goal going to be Tuesday, Thursday. Tuesdays during the week, wrapping up what I saw, what we saw throughout the weekend's games, things like that. And then we'll reconvene on Thursdays to preview the week ahead, hit all the news and storylines from the week. It should be a ton of fun. But like I said, today here, season preview, we've got 3 massive questions for Oklahoma to answer headed in to the 2024 softball season. And up first, we have the big one, the obvious one. How's Oklahoma going to replace Jordy Ball? That pitching staff from a year ago was absolutely lights out. A 3-headed monster of Jordy Ball, Alex Storako, Nicole May, and then Kirsten Deal came on strong. You remember her Bedlam heroics and what that did to propel her into the postseason. Well, Alex Storako graduated out. Nicole May, Kirsten Deal still in Norman. But the big news that dropped right after the Women's College World Series was, of course, that Jordy Ball was entering the transfer portal, headed home to Nebraska to play for the Cornhuskers, which left Oklahoma with a little bit of work to do. You had Nicole May, you had Kirsten Deal. That's a righty-lefty combo there for Patty Gasso. She absolutely loves that, as well as Jennifer Rocha, the associate head coach, pitching coach. She does great work with those lefties historically. Then you also had S.J. Guerin, who was red-shirted. We saw a little bit of her during fall ball. Packed some punch early. She's a hurler. Lineup got to her a little bit more. We shall see, though, what that looks like when it's not Oklahoma's lineup. And so Patty Gasso went into the offseason thinking May and Deal, but we know she likes to have a staff, and oh, did she ever add through the transfer portal. She picked up a veteran, Carly Keeney, coming in from Liberty. If you missed it, Liberty was one of the successes last year, and Carly Keeney was huge at the top of that. Unfortunately, we did not get to see Carly Keeney through fall ball. That was something that she sustained a finger injury, and Patty Gasso talked about it. She's not actually going to get to see Carly Keeney pitch competitively until about right now as she ramps up into the season. So it'll be a big question mark as far as what Keeney's going to bring. She also got, Patty Gasso did a transfer from Wisconsin, and Peyton Monticelli. She's a bit younger, kind of replicates the fact that Jordy Ball was going to have a couple of years left. Peyton Monticelli has a couple of years of eligibility left as well. So that was kind of a like-for-like matching eligibility. We'll see what Monticelli can bring, as she also was pretty successful during fall ball. But then the big one, Kelly Maxwell entered the portal from Stillwater at Oklahoma State, the Cowgirls ace, and she landed in Norman. So now what you're looking at is you're going to have multiple options for Patty Gassos, both the righties that we talked about, and then Kirsten Deal and Kelly Maxwell, a pair of left-handers. It's going to be a ton for Jen Rocha to work with to really build out that pitching staff. Now, what we've seen, Kelly Maxwell obviously has done a great job as the ace for the Cowgirls, working through Big 12 play, a couple of Big 12 title pushes in the regular season, didn't get it done. 2 years ago, though, Oklahoma State was able to upset Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship, the tournament that is. And so Kelly Maxwell was a big part of Oklahoma State winning that Big 12 tournament championship. What can she do now that she's stepped on? And you've seen Hope Troutline and Alex Storako in back-to-back years really benefited from not having to be the sole pitcher, the only one, and what that they can kind of do. But Kelly Maxwell, Kenny Gajewski did a really good job managing her workload a year ago. So it's not a situation of, oh my gosh, almost 300 innings pitched or something absolutely outrageous and going to get clocked all the way down. But the difference is going to be behind Kelly Maxwell. What can she do to attack hitters differently now that she has Patty Gasso's defense? She has Oklahoma's defense behind her, as well as the style, the really aggressive style that Jen Roach has had. She's someone that traditionally has come in and with Hope Trotwine, with Alex Storako, help them take their game to another level. Can Kelly Maxwell get that? Because she's someone that has a ton of Women's College World Series experience. 3 trips the last 3 years for Oklahoma State, 3 visits for Kelly Maxwell. She's posted a 2.62 ERA, 50 strikeouts through her 3 trips to the Women's College World Series for Oklahoma State. Kelly Maxwell comfortable on that stage. So is Nicole May. Nicole May has that experience, and she's had that experience leading the way, right? Think back to her freshman year. She helped Oklahoma through regionals, super regional play against Washington, and then she rolled into the Women's College World Series, and that's when G. Juarez kind of took it to another level. Her numbers, Nicole May's in Oklahoma City, kind of skewed a little bit. She was thrown out there in the championship series against Florida State, and when that game was kind of a lost cause, Patty Gasso left her out there. So she's got a 5.49 career ERA just at the Women's College World Series. But if you look at her numbers all throughout last year, Nicole May actually ERA, her whip, her walks, hits per innings pitch, all of that stuff was tracking pretty much with Jordy Ball's numbers from last year. The difference being Jordy Ball was given a lion's share of those innings at the Women's College World Series. Nicole May, a little bit different load be put on her and Kelly Maxwell's shoulders, as those two are going to have to be the ones to power through. Oklahoma has the deepest pitching staff in the country, probably has the most top-end experience between Keeney and May and Maxwell. It's just going to be, who does Patty Gasso give the ball in those big moments? Kelly Maxwell accustomed to that. Nicole May's had those, but with no Jordy Ball, one of those two going to have to lead the way when it's the business end of the season this June. Question number 2 for the Sooners this season: who will replace Grace Lyons? Grace Lyons, you know her, you loved her. Patty Gasso talked over and over again across multiple seasons, the best defensive shortstop Patty Gasso said she's ever seen. On top of that, she brought quite the stick into the batter's box, a power hitter when you needed her, captain clutch. That's what Grace Lyons had been, a stalwart of Oklahoma's infield, straight up, a great resource for any pitcher to rely on. But she has graduated out, which means the Sooners will have to have a new shortstop in 2024. Who is that going to be? We saw a couple of different options roll through by Patty Gasso throughout the fall, and really we got a little peek into it last year when Grace Lyons missed a couple of games here or there. The first one, Tiare Jennings, could she slide over from second base around to short? That is one option. Alyssa Brito, who played some shortstop at Oregon as a freshman, she's been playing third base for the Sooners this past year. Could she slide into to shortstop, That would probably bring Alina Torres out of the outfield into third base, where she played at Arizona State. You got Avery Hodge. Could she step in and play some shortstop there? It'll be interesting to see what happens. One thing we know, Patty Gasso loves to recruit shortstops so she can move them all across the field. That brings a lot of really high-level infield, just defensive play in general. If you're asking me, though, my bet would be that you have Alyssa Brito slide over to shortstop. I think that keeps Tiare Jennings at second base, who's a great captain of that infield. Patty Gasso's talked about just the voice that Tiare Jennings brings defensively, leaving her at the spot that she's kind of accustomed to. Alyssa Brito has an absolute cannon. You've seen it from her when she's playing over at third, and Torres is comfortable at third. We saw in the Bedlam series when Alyssa Brito had to miss the first half of a game there. Torres came in at third, and that gives you some options out in the outfield, whether you want to throw one of the freshmen out there, Ella Parker, Cassidy Pickering, Maya Bland, Nelly Macaron Marinas, whatever you want to do with that. Or do you throw Hannah Core or Avery Hodge out in the outfield, give you a lot of athleticism out there to pair with Riley Boone, who played left field last year, obviously the stud Jada Coleman out in dead center. And what does that do as far as who do you want to use for your DP? If you're using it for a pitcher, we saw Hannah Core, what she can give you defensively. Missed her a little bit last year for that red shirt. Pedigasso talked about, her working back from the back stuff that she went through a year ago during fall ball. Catch those videos at AllSooners.com. But she was hitting the cover off the ball during fall ball. Do you slide core out there with her bat as well, and that lets you DP over for the pitcher? It'll be interesting to see what that situation is going to look like, but that'll be something different for Oklahoma. You got Sydney Sanders at first, and in that scenario, Tiare Jennings at second, Alina Torres, again, who's played some third base, and Alyssa Brito. That would give you a very experienced infield. That's a championship infield, as well as Riley Boone, Jada Coleman, and whoever you throw out as your third outfielder. That would make a ton of sense. You'll have Kinsey Hansen behind the dish, marshaling it all. That would lead to probably a lot of experience without having to upset a ton of what's going on. So I would imagine that's what you see at shortstop. But Pedigasso also will use the Puerto Vallarta College Challenge, the Mary Nutter Collegiate Classic. Those weekends will be huge for her to mix and match and kind of see. As we know, she'll mess with that lineup a little bit so that she has that settled once they hit Big 12 play. And of course, obviously, the business in the postseason. Question number 3, and that's one that surrounds Oklahoma softball every single year, but it will be especially pressing this year for the Sooners. How does this new crew handle the pressure that comes along with Oklahoma softball? You saw a year ago, it almost was absurd how insulated and how laser focused and eye on the prize this program was, despite everything going on in college softball, despite everything going on with the Sooners. Yes, that Sooners team that was 61-1. That Sooners team that ended the year on a 53-game winning streak after that loss to Baylor at the Getterman Classic. They are back. Oklahoma will technically start the year on that win streak, but things will look so different. 7 Sooners outgoing between the transfer portal and graduation, and they are bringing 8 in this year. We've already mentioned the pitching staff, the contributions, the 4 freshmen. There's also Riley Ludlam who came in. She will be a part of that battery behind the plate, giving Kinsey Hansen the opportunity to have some days off, and she was swinging a big stick throughout fall ball as well. How does she factor in a potential designated player that Pedigasso said is super raw coming in, but someone she's excited to work with? And for all of the newcomers for Oklahoma, many of them dealt with the reality that is OU softball in fall ball. For the freshmen, certainly. For Riley Ludlam, certainly. The most people they had ever played in front of was during Oklahoma's scrimmages, right? Now you're going to have Love's Field, over 4,000 seats there between the seating capacity and standing room only. Obviously, anytime Oklahoma heads to Hall of Fame Stadium, whether that be for the Big 12 tournament, whether that be for postseason, whether that be for a Friday game like we saw with Texas last year. That was one in Oklahoma City, 2 back in Norman. There is a ton of attention that comes with playing softball at the University of Oklahoma via social media requests, all that stuff. And then there's the pressure of everyone that steps on the field with Oklahoma is going to give the Sooners their best shot. What does that leadership look like to help the newcomers get bedded in and get ready to rock and roll? That's always a question head in, but the good news is there are a ton of those leaders, from Kinsey Hansen to Nicole May. Just look all the way around. Alina Torres, been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Alyssa Brito, check. Tiare Jennings and Jada Coleman and Riley Boone, certainly experienced leaders there, as well as Sydney Sanders. Then you have Kelly Maxwell, who's played big-time college softball. It has been a part of a team, Oklahoma State, that's another one of those teams to beat, especially in Big 12 play. Another level with Oklahoma, but she's used to teams giving them their best shot, and she'll have the best supporting cast she's ever had as well. The real question will be, what is the message from Pedigasso, and how well is that able to get through to the players? Every single year about this time, we have media day. The early stages of the year, Pedigasso talks about a number of things, but part of it is putting last year in the rear view, whether that be, hey, if you were a freshman and had a big-time freshman year, you can't be chasing those numbers from a year ago. Every season, the slate is wiped clean. You have to be able to come back, be humble, get to work as if it's 0-0 in the record book. You've had no at-bats, all that stuff. What is that going to look like for Oklahoma, as well as, in a weird way, having the long offseason, having so many new faces? Will that take the pressure off of any kind of winning streak? If you talked to the team last year, they talked about not knowing at any point how many games they've been on, the streak, all that stuff, but just that they had kept winning. They looked unbothered by that pressure, and that was a pretty special group from that leadership. You're returning that core of leaders. Can they come in and make it to where that they're just working every single day, the team, to get as good as possible themselves. What does that look like? Can they not feel that pressure of riding a 53-game win streak? Bridging an off season, albeit, might be a little bit easier, but especially as the first couple of weekends, you're at Puerto Vallarta, you're at a road multi-team tournament, you're at the Mary Nutter Collegiate Classic. The Mary Nutter is a nuts environment, but it's going to be nuts for Oklahoma whether they're riding a 53-game winning streak, whether they've lost 5 coming in. People just want to see Oklahoma softball. How does everyone respond in that situation? Because it'll be new for 8 of these Oklahoma Sooners, as well as one last ride. Tiare Jennings, Jada Coleman, Riley Boone, Nicole May, even Kinsey Hansen when you include that her first year was cut short by the season ending. All those players have ever experienced is winning national championships at Oklahoma. Are they able to carry on that fire to come back and win a 4th national championship? Go somewhere that's never been done before. Oklahoma handled the pressure a year ago of trying to become the first team to go back to back to back since UCLA over 30 years prior. Now Oklahoma has a chance to do something that's never been done, which is win 4 in a row. Something that I'm sure Oklahoma not thinking about the magnitude of that. They're just laser focused on how do you make the most out of every single day, continue to get better, and play your best softball. Head to Oklahoma City in June, something that Patty Gasso specializes in for sure. But like we mentioned, 3 weeks away, February 8th, 10:30 in the morning, double header of sorts. Utah Valley for Oklahoma to start off. Then they'll play Duke, who's receiving top 10 consideration in the Softball America preseason poll, in the D1 Softball preseason poll. And it'll get rolling out in Mexico at the Puerto Vallarta Collegiate Classic. Keep that in mind as we get closer and closer. More information about the AllSooners Softball Show, more information about all the softball coverage we have at AllSooners.com. Again, from all the interviews, all of the stories, we will have it all. Your home for the best and most comprehensive Oklahoma softball coverage. Be sure you're following all of us, all_Sooners on Twitter. I am at _Ryan Chapman. Be sure hitting up the YouTube page where you can find this, and you'll find it Tuesday and Thursday every single week once the season hits full swing. That's over at John Hoover Media on YouTube. And be visiting the website, allsooners.com. We'll talk to you here in a couple of weeks once the season truly gets underway.